Seeing as we've got the time, want to tell the rest of us about you and your buddy Sephiroth?
Hello everyone, Jen here. Hope you're all doing well. Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to be giving my thoughts and impressions of the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth demo we got to play, the fall of a hero in Nibelheim. As always, I've got you covered with timestamps in the description down below, so if there's a certain section you want to skip to, feel free. All I ask is for you to support the channel and hit the thumbs up button. So without further ado, let's get straight in to the demo of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Now, I'm going to start the video by talking about the graphics because it's been brought up in my previous couple of videos that I've not talked about the graphics. How could I not talk about these graphics? And in all honesty, I'm not too fussed about graphics. I don't really make a thing of it because it doesn't affect me, but I can see the discussions going off online, in particular with this demo, and I get it, and I agree that something should be sorted for this, ready for the release of the full game. But again, me in particular, I'm fine with it. I thought it looked beautiful. I love messing around with photo mode and everything else in between, but I get it. There's people that do really care, so I thought I'd get that bit out of the way. So let's get straight into the demo and how this opens. I believe this is the actual opening of the game because I went to play the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth press event version and we got to play this chapter in its entirety. And with what happens later in this demo, I think the recap from Shinra's perspective is the quick intro going straight into Cloud kind of talking about the Nibelheim flashback, or what we could say is his recollection of the Nibelheim events. So we start off in the truck, and it's really nice to just see this scene voice acted and Cloud having a persona that's a little bit different to what we know, but ones that have played Crisis Core and know the compilation a little bit better, we will know what they're going for here, and I think they hit it incredibly well, and they establish the relationship between Sephiroth and Cloud real good.
Say, I'd like to be briefed on the mission at some point. Because if it's another one of those Turks gigs, you can let me off right here.
Really?
Finally make first, and what do? Call a ceasefire with Wutai, stealing my shot at glory. I didn't join Soldier to be an errand boy. I joined up so I could be a hero, like you.
I really like the way that these cutscenes are played and just the general interaction between Sephiroth and Cloud. And then of course we get halted, and I thought when I first played this at the press event, it was going to be the big dragon, but we got two kind of smaller fodder enemies. But the way they did it was still great. We have Cloud going out full force, thinking he can handle it, but we get thrown straight into some Sephiroth gameplay where we just get to mess around and kick these monsters' asses, and it's really satisfying and gives you like just a quick snippet of what to expect in combat and how strong Sephiroth truly is. Eventually, we make it to Nibelheim, and I said this during my preview event footage, but I think this is the best telling of the Nibelheim flashback, even though there is unreliable narration from Cloud. Just the way that we get to Nibelheim, it scans down the city, it's a lot more flushed out what it was in the OG and other compilations, and it's just a real good town to get around. And that's the first thing I really want to talk about with Nibelheim, is how more expansive it is. And I kind of get why they make it more expansive because of what happens later in this demo, but the fact that we can wander around free at will, looking at all of these new nooks and crannies of Nibelheim, finding a few hidden chests here and there, and then the fact that once we go to the water tower, we can then go and kind of explore, or we can just progress with the story straight away. There are a few new buildings here, especially the kind of like town hall mayor's house, which is again Mayor Xander from the, I think, Traces of Two Past he's from, and it's nice the way that they weave him in here, and we'll see that a lot going forward as well. But then we get the choice to go around. What do we do? Do we go to Cloud's house and speak to his mother? Do we go to Tifa's house? Do we go to the shop? Do we go straight to the inn? And of course, the choices are there, but you're going to try and explore everything. I went straight to Cloud's house, and I think the one-to-one recreation of that scene of Cloud's mother speaking to him is just incredible. The way they did it with the kind of quick, snappy shots and the way it kind of glitches more and more, just kind of like questioning Cloud, is he remembering this correctly or not? And then of course we go over to Tifa's house, and they've kept this pretty true to the fact. And we can walk on in. Tifa asks, did we do that? We could say no, we can say yes, but obviously we're going to say yes. We go in, we go upstairs, and then we have the choice to go in a wardrobe for some nice dialogue. Whether that affects kind of the affinity system that Final Fantasy VII Rebirth presents, it's unknown, but while I played the preview event, I had no indication when I went from the Nibelheim Flashback to Calm that those choices mattered. Really, I think it's just a nice way of introducing it, and for those that have played the original can have a bit of a laugh to themselves. It's really nice when Aerith and Tifa both say, Cloud, you're an asshole.
Cloud! You asshole!
We progress through Tifa's room, and the piano is there, and we can play it, and it introduces us to kind of like the piano minigame in Rebirth. Now, I didn't get to play this in the preview event because I just wanted to get straight through to the grasslands, but I took my time here and I played Tifa's theme. Took me a while to get it mastered, but I think this is going to be a rhythm game that I'm going to have quite a lot of fun with, but it's nice to see it in this demo. There's definitely loads of nods to the original in Nibelheim while we're exploring, and we have kids, we have adults, we have just all the villagers, and again, there is a lot of villagers here. This isn't just like a shanty town. This is quite a bustling village here, and again, it kind of ups the stakes to what happens later in this demo. But it's nice to kind of go into the shop and see the two little children that kind of like repeat one another. I think they were in another house in the original, but they're here, and I just spent time listening to the NPC dialogue and for you to kind of become a bit more attached to the village of Nibelheim.
Thank you for coming.
You're Shinra? Shinra?
Oh, whoops! I didn't recognize you, Cloud. How you've grown.
Time passes, and it is time for us to head towards Mount Nibel, and this is where things get really exciting. And I guess a few people's complaints is, why was this so linear? Why couldn't we kind of have an open space to explore? Why are we restricted? Well, you obviously have not played the Nibelheim instant beforehand. It's not going to be your open world experience. It is a nice piece of storytelling, and then once Tifa is our guide and we head towards the mountains, and we get the most beautiful version of the main theme playing, and the credits start to roll as we're going. It was at this time when I played it at the preview event, I knew that this is how they were handling the open for Rebirth, and I really dig it. We can go off the off-beaten path if we want to, because we are essentially going through the Nibel region, but because we're at the flashback, there is not anything for us to find. But it's nice to get a scope of what this region is going to offer once we return. Eventually, we get introduced to combat, and this is where I start to get stuck in. I chose to play more as Cloud during this flashback. I know that we get Sephiroth a little bit later. I'm going to be playing as Cloud for a majority of the game, so I want to get to know him. Not that I didn't try out Sephiroth. I've played this demo 3 or 4 times, and I have loved everything Sephiroth has to offer, but the combat as a whole and the way it's introduced here in the Rebirth demo is real good. It feels more sharp, snappy, more responsive. The fact that we can now do aerial combos, I just absolutely loved it, and I think this time around in Rebirth I'm going to dive into the system a little bit deeper, because obviously we have more elements to explore. But the fact that I was just kind of whipping ass with Cloud and the Buster Sword was pretty satisfying. And again, we can talk about exploration a little bit while we're going up the Nibelheim mountains. There is a point where we kind of go not where we're supposed to go and Tifa calls us back, but we can find some materia, and it gives us a bit of a preview of the verticality of the game, because we have now now have a terrain button where we can like hold circle or press circle to kind of go up rocks and just explore a little bit more, and we are rewarded for that throughout this demo. We get a piece of materia, we get called back. Yes, there's a crawl space. I'm not too fussed about these. I've played the Grasslands demo and there is none of that. I would expect to have these present during like these more secluded and linear sections, and again, it didn't really bother me when it comes to the little crawl spaces or climbing up ladders. It just is what it is. But if it does affect you, let me know in the comment section down below, because I would be interested to know. I guess talking about traversal and just kind of going through this demo, I'll be remiss not to talk about the Mako suction hoover thing. Yes, it could be quite tedious, and I guess it can be, but you can see that they're trying to experiment, especially the second one. They made it into a little bit of a puzzle. I would love them to kind of expand upon that with more things in Rebirth in the game if they're going to have sections like that. Let me think, instead of thinking, oh man, is this all I've got to do? I've got to go over 3 of these things. Because the second one, you had to kind of figure out that, oh, we have to go through the gate and not do it around this wall because the cable is only at so much length. I kind of like that, and if they can bring more to that, it will make those, I guess, in quotes, boring sections more exciting. One thing I forgot to mention while we're kind of traversing during the intro to Mount Nibel is all the deers and wildlife just jumping around and just making you feel like, okay, this is a world that's lived in, and this is a world that I'm going to embrace the more I play. And I'm just really excited to come back to the Nibel region and see how much it changes after the flashback in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I'm going to take a moment to talk about the storytelling. I've kind of touched upon it there and as we've kind of gone through this demo, but I really like the telling of the Nibelheim flashback. I think it's the best way it's been done. I like the little kind of flashbacks between the calm telling and then going back into the story, and then like when we're into an area, it kind of introduces the area and has a bit of dialogue from either Tifa or Cloud. I also like the animosity between Tifa and Cloud. You can see much more clearly in this version of events. While Cloud is telling the story, Tifa's just got her head looking down at the floor, like just listening and taking it in and coming in where she needs to come in, but you can tell that she is not all there while Cloud's telling the story, and I like that dynamic between the characters. And then going back into the flashback, Sephiroth is portrayed as a hero here. He is looked up upon by all of the villagers in Nibelheim. They're excited he's here. You can see that in Cloud as well, the way he tries to show off and the way he kind of like just tries to impress Sephiroth. And Sephiroth is just a cool guy. Like, we get to see a normal Sephiroth, the war hero. There is a point while we're kind of traversing the land where we go off past this little crawl hole, and Tifa notices it and she says it's this way because the bridge is broken, and Sephiroth's like, you know what, I was going to have this guy as our lead, but he's clearly gone the wrong way. Let's put trust in you, Tifa. And just that dynamic and that relationship, that's just a small preview of what we can expect between all the characters of the main cast and the side characters we're going to meet along the way. So we end our traversal of the Mount Nibel kind of trek with the Materia Guardian fight, and this is just a chance for us to explore how synergies work to its full potential. There is going to be materia that we've collected along the way that we can experiment. I think if you've got the level up materia and meteor, you can use cometia, or if you wanted to kind of do it with other spells as well, you can. But Sephiroth has all of the access to all the spells as well, and this is where I've seen that the Arga spells now cost 2 ATB, which I guess makes sense and kind of makes you reassess how battle works. But I really like the Materia Guardian fight. My first time playing it, I kind of got my ass kicked here and there because I was just still kind of figuring out how I can tackle this to the full potential. But then second, third and fourth time going into this demo, of course I'm going to get used to it, but exploring the battle system with more party members and making the decisions and choosing the right materia for Cloud, using the synergies and using aerial combat to its full potential, it was quite the pushover with the Materia Guardian. But I do think it is a great kind of like tutorial boss fight, much like the Guard Scorpion was. We can expect phases from these big boss fights like we did in Remake and just overly have a good time. More story progresses and we get to kind of see like not the downfall of Sephiroth, but just the way he has that realization of Genova and who he is. It is depicted so damn well, and I really loved the way they did this at the Mako reactor and going back to Nibelheim. So we're back at Nibelheim and we need to go to the Shinra manager, and I said the Shinra manager again. We have to go to the Shinra Manor, and me, much like the reception of a lot of people, I wish there was more to explore in the Shinra Manor, but there wasn't, and I kind of get what they did it, because did we really need to explore the Shinra Manor in the flashback? No. I think when we go back, it could fall into kind of place with Cloud's unreliable narration, and there might not even be a lift there to a basement. It could be a spiral staircase when we go there for the second time. But having that big area in the basement was very akin to what we've seen with Vincent's reveal, so maybe the elevator's still there. But I do think the mansion will be a little bit more explorable when we go back. But yeah, I was a little bit disappointed with it, but I kind of got why they were going for just like this secluded section of the manor. I did like the photos on the wall. We could see Hojo and Lucrezia, and we could see maybe a young Vincent on the wall. But this is where Sephiroth really kind of like changes into the Sephiroth we all know and love, and depicted really well. And then we have to follow him into the village, and things are more than certainly going down. I mentioned right at the beginning, the one thing that I love about the Nibelheim flashback is that they introduce more villagers, more characters, more named characters, and just overall kind of populated this village a little bit more, because during this scene it feels a lot more heart-wrenching, a lot more intense, a lot more risk involved here. So we wander into the village and we get injured. And I mentioned this in my preview video because we kind of gradually get slower. And a complaint I've seen all over the World Wide Web is of this scene, because we have the limping scene and then we have a crawling QTE scene. I think with these two scenes right next to each other, it could probably get a lot of people impatient. And I think me personally, when I played it the first time, I was also impatient. But playing it the second time and the third time, I started to get what they were doing, what they were trying to show here. Again, Sephiroth was admired by these villagers. He'd come to save them. Now they are all in shock because this great war hero that everyone fears but everyone loves is now turned on them. What do? Yes, they could shoot, but do they really have the courage to pull the trigger on one of the greatest war heroes known to man in this world? I get it. And the limping scene, yes, going like one way and then having to go all the way around the back can be quite tedious. I wish we could just go straight to the houses. I don't know why they added that section in. I think it's just probably to build the intensity, maybe let us know that Cloud is injured, so he will be struggling a little bit more. But as soon as we get to the bit where he is going towards his mother's house, and that little kind of, if you know, you know moment of the Shinra soldier in the same position that Cloud ends up after he gets blown back by the house, is an incredible touch. I really do think that is one of the best moments of the demo for me at a story perspective, because of me knowing the compilation and playing through Crisis Core and the original. But again, we have the QTEs, the R2 and the L2, the R2 and the L2, watching Sephiroth slowly massacre this village. I get what they're doing. I really do. And I think it's executed quite well. Again, after playing it a few times, I think having to do two really long, tedious sections, one after the other, could probably exhaust the player a little bit and not understand and be impatient of what's going on. Then we look up at Sephiroth in the flames and we get that iconic shot, and then the demo ends. I got to play the rest of the demo of the preview event, so I know what comes next, and it really just takes what we got like lore-wise and how intense things were and take it to a new level, and that's within the flashback and the way the story is being told back in Calm. Really excited for you guys to get to witness that in just a couple of weeks. But yeah, that added even more to my Nibelheim Flashback experience than maybe it would have for you. So that is it for the Nibelheim Flashback. I really enjoyed it, and I'm probably going to play it again, because one thing I forgot to mention was the music. The music is incredible, and we've got over 400 tracks to enjoy in the full game. What we get here, the main theme playing during the intro, Nibelheim, the anxiety theme for Nibelheim in particular, really awesome. The battle theme, the Materia Guardian theme, I could list on and on and on all of these songs, but the soundtrack is going to be one to remember. Songs that we know and love taken to a new level, and new songs that may become our favorites. I would love to know your thoughts of your experience with the demo down below. Does this get you more excited? Are you wanting to wait for the Junon section before you make more of a decision where you are with it? I'm excited for that too, just to kind of go around in the open world and mess around. But yeah, let me know in the comment section below. I thank you for your time. If you want to support the channel, please consider subscribing for more Rebirth content. Please like the video, as that supports the channel as well. Hit the notification bell so you are notified of my content. Get involved in the comment section below. And until next time, I'll catch you on the flip side.